Episode 3: The Watchers, the Giants, and the Origin of Demons. Welcome back to the Unsealing. In our last episode, we exposed how the Western Edomite power structure broke the clock of the Most High. We revealed the suppression of the 364-day solar calendar and the hidden legal protocols of the Garden of Eden. Today, we are moving forward into the days of Noah. We are going to expose the greatest spiritual cover-up in the history of the biblical text. We are going to look at the Watchers, the Nephilim, and the exact origin of demons. If you read the standard 66-book canon, Genesis chapter 6 dedicates exactly 4 vague verses to the most catastrophic event in human history. It simply says that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, took them as wives, and that there were giants in the earth in those days. It reads like a brief, confusing myth. It makes it sound as though these angelic beings simply came down to the earth as opportunistic invaders. But when we open the book of Jubilees, the distortion is immediately exposed. Jubilees chapter 4 reveals the true, original mission of these angels. In the days of the patriarch Jared, the Most High actually dispatched these angels, known as the Watchers, down to the earth. Jubilees tells us their exact orders, that they should instruct the children of men, and that they should do judgment and uprightness on the earth. Let that sink in. They were not sent as invaders. They were dispatched as holy teachers and judges. The tragedy, the great treason that the Standard Bible hides, is that the teachers became corrupted by the very flesh they were sent to govern. And who recorded this treason? Enoch. In the standard Genesis account, we get one cryptic sentence: Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. But Jubilees reveals Enoch's true legal function. He was the first man to learn writing and wisdom. And Jubilees 4 reveals that Enoch explicitly testified against the Watchers who sinned with the daughters of men. He was removed from the earth and taken to the Garden of Eden for a specific legal purpose: to write down the condemnation and judgment of the world. Enoch was the ultimate heavenly scribe. When the Watchers fell, they genetically altered the earth. They produced the Nephilim, the giants. But Genesis watered down the carnage to hide the true reason for the great flood. Genesis simply says the wickedness of man was great. Jubilees chapter 7 rips the veil off this watered down lie. Jubilees details absolute cannibalistic carnage. The giants didn't just exist, they devoured everything. The text states, the giants slew the Nephil, and the Nephil slew the Eljo, and the Eljo mankind, and one man another. It tells us they sinned against the beasts, the birds, and everything that moves, and that they began to drink blood. The flood was not just a punishment because humans were acting badly. The flood was a desperate, legally mandated biological purge. It was required to wipe out an unauthorized, genetically engineered vampiric bloodline that was literally devouring the earth. But here is the ultimate omission, the greatest distortion in the Western canon. What happened to the spirits of those giants when they drowned? The standard Old Testament almost never mentions demons or a chief adversary. It leaves the Hebrews completely blind to the spiritual warfare happening around them. Jubilees chapter 10 unseals the truth. When the giant hybrid Nephilim died in the floodwaters, their physical bodies perished, but their disembodied spirits became the unclean demons. And after the flood, these demons began to blind, lead astray, and slay the grandchildren of Noah. Noah prays to the Most High, begging him to imprison these evil spirits in the place of condemnation. The Creator agrees and commands his angels to bind them all. But then, A figure steps forward in the heavenly court, a figure the standard Genesis completely erased. The prince Mastêmâ, Satan himself. Mastêmâ approaches the Creator and negotiates. He says, "Lord Creator, let some of them remain before me, and let them hearken to my voice. For if some of them are not left to me, I shall not be able to execute the power of my will on the sons of men. For great is the wickedness of the sons of men." And the Most High issues a decree. 90% of the demons are bound in the depths of the earth, but 10% are left loose to be subject to Satan on the earth. This is the ultimate detangling of our reality. The Edomite scribes removed Mastêmâ and the origin of demons, so you would not know who was pulling the strings behind the Gentile empires. They hid the fact that 10% of the demonic realm was legally permitted to remain on this earth to test a wicked humanity. But this brings us to the ultimate question, the question that the standard church system cannot answer. If the Great Flood was a biological purge designed to wipe out the giant Nephilim, how did they come back? Because later in the biblical record, when Joshua enters the Promised Land, he is fighting giants again, the Rephaim, the Anakim. How did the Jinn survive the water? There are three answers to this, and they are terrifying. We call them the three vectors of survival. The first is found in the exact wording of Genesis 6:4, which says the sons of God took human wives, and also after that. The original watchers were chained in the abyss, but the boundary between heaven and earth had been breached. The apocryphal records indicate a second incursion occurred post-flood. The precedent was set, and the rebellion was repeated. The second answer is biological. We call this the contaminated cargo. The Most High declared Noah perfect in his generations. His bloodline was pure. But what about the wives of his sons? Ham's lineage is the smoking gun. After the flood, Ham's son Canaan illegally seized the land of Lebanon, refusing to go to his allotted portion in the south despite the warnings of his father and brothers. And generations later, when the Israelites enter that exact same land of Canaan, who do they find? The Anakim and the Rephaim, the giants. The genetic corruption was carried recessively through the wives on the ark and manifested aggressively in the lineage of Ham and Canaan. But they didn't just need the gene to return. They needed the dark knowledge to invite the spiritual realm back in. This brings us to the third vector, the resurrection of the dark arts. Jubilees chapter 8 tells us exactly how this happened. A grandson of Shem named Canaan was seeking a place to build a city, and he found ancient writings carved into a rock by the pre-flood generations. It contained the forbidden teachings of the Watchers, the exact instructions on how to observe the omens of the sun, the moon, and the stars. Canaan transcribed it, and he hid it from Noah because he knew it was illegal. He dug up the buried technology of the fallen realm. The physical giants may have drowned, but their disembodied spirits became the demons. Their dark magic was dug up from the mud by Canaan, and their genetics hitchhiked through the ark. The physical and spiritual corruption was completely restarted. This is why Yahushua warned us about the end of the age. He said, "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." The Western Church teaches that this just means people will be living normal lives, eating and drinking before the end comes. But when you have the unsealed records, you know the terrifying truth. When Yahushua warned about the days of Noah, he was warning about an era where the natural order is abandoned, where humanity's arrogance reaches a tipping point, and where the moral and physical boundaries set by the Most High are completely ignored. The technology of the fallen realm doesn't just have to mean physical monsters. It represents a system constantly trying to manipulate, patent, and control life itself. That is the modern Canaan energy. It is the relentless desire to bypass the Most High's design. Ask yourself, When the Messiah gave that warning, was he just talking about the past? Or was he warning us about the modern versions of Kainam? Was he warning us to watch for the exact same spirit operating behind closed doors today? Look around you. Look at the manipulation of DNA. Look at the normalization of the demonic. The 10% are still here. The days of Noah have returned. You have been fighting an enemy that your standard Bible refused to fully identify, but the records are unsealed. The enemy is exposed, and the spirit of Kainam is awake.